Good morning, race fans. Madison Regatta Incorporated welcomes you to the 2022 Madison Regatta here on the Ohio River. It is day number 1 of 3 of activity for action on the Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Course for the H1 Unlimited Hydroplanes, and also 2 are inboard classes from Grand Prix America presented by Knighton Industries and the Phenom Digital Pro Light Hydroplane Series Tour. My name is Jeff Ayler, and when the hydroplanes are on the water with H1 Unlimited, I'll be joined by a gentleman who is so synonymous in the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing, not only a fan, but a great announcer. Coming to us this year, helping from Richland, Washington, Brad Luce, welcome to Madison. Let's get it going.
Thank you very much, Jeff. It's been 10 years since I've been here. It's great to be back in Madison. The town is as I remember. It's always great to be working with you. We were together a week ago in Guntersville, Alabama. We had the same classes of race boats on the water down there. It was a fantastic show. I expect this weekend to be nothing different. We should have some great racing here.
And during our Pro Light series presented by Phenom Digital and our GPAs by Knighton Industries, he's a little tardy this morning. Jordan Bear, the morning show host at Works 96.7 FM WRX, will join me with myself, taking you through the paces of the inboard boats. But Brad, you'll be with me with H1 Unlimited. Not only are we speaking to our fans along the shoreline here via the public address system, we'd like to thank H1 Unlimited once again with their online streaming through YouTube. Brad, the picture is perfect here on the monitor. Beacon Plumbing hanging over the water. Dave Vilwalk will take to the course, and he appears to be the first Unlimited to get a crack here at the Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Racecourse. It's the traditional track, 2.5 mile underneath the Milton-Madison Bridge, because I know the mayor in Milton, Denny Jackson, I don't want to get in trouble.
And as you know, I've got some new fans that I have brought to the sport, and I have taught them it is the Milton-Madison Bridge, not the other way around. And yes, the stream, the pictures the folks are seeing across the country and around the world are beautiful. The 40's hanging over the water. Vilwalk's ready to go. I know you are.
Better yet, Brad, it has been a number of years. We arrived to the Madison Regatta on a Friday, and you can tell by the pictures watching online and also here along the shoreline, the water conditions are flat out fabulous on this first weekend of July 2022, 4th of July weekend. Our course personnel are getting the final markers into position. You are back from Germany, Patty Kennedy Hayes. Welcome to Madison. So glad to see you. And Brad, this is Patty Kennedy Hayes, who we were talking to online in Germany on the broadcast last week. So 1 week later, she's here in Madison. Welcome back.
Wow, we were making sure that the kids were saying hi, and you were getting the info, and it's nice to put a face with the name. Welcome home.
Thank you.
Good to have her here. Patty, great
But
to be here.
back to the water, Brad, it looks very nice.
The water's perfect, and we've been here for a couple of days now since we came up from Guntersville. Every day we've been coming down, checking out the river, and I keep turning to people going, let's put the boats in the water, let's go, because it really is perfect here right now.
Same track and distance as Guntersville, but Madison with these tight turns. These are the longest straightaways on the H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series. Brad, of course, we know H1 Unlimited, the world's fastest racing boats. They can get up to 200 miles per hour. I think at the end of each shoot here in Madison this weekend, we'll be at that 190 clip, and it's not without question to get up to 195.
Yeah, this is a fast race course at the end of the straightaways, because exactly what you talked about there, Jeff. They've got a long straightaway to get these things up to speed and get them flying, and they pretty much reach their top speed by the time they hit that entrance pin, which means they're just hanging the boat out, and it's flying. And if you don't have that propeller, it's still accelerating the boat and lifting that rear end. It can get a little dangerous going down there, but our drivers know this course. They know what's expected of them on it. It's going to be a great weekend of racing. and we've got a whole new event format to talk about. We've got a lot of stories to follow this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to the showdown format tomorrow, provided through H1 Unlimited. Madison will be the second stop on the 2022 tour, but Madison will score 2 different points days on Saturday, and then Sunday will be the traditional Indiana Governor's Cup format. But Brad, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow with the shootout. I think it's a welcome addition that H1 Unlimited is bringing to Madison, and I think this is the race site to try it.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's perfect here, and we're going to have racing on Saturday. I mean, there's a whole bunch of benefits to this. What the fans are going to see is more activity on the water than they've seen in the past, and that's more activity from the H1 Unlimited side. Instead of just 2 heats of competition, a 1A and a 1B on Saturday, they're going to get 3 of these 2-boat shootouts, followed by a 3-boat heat that's a last chance heat, and then a 4-boat final, and we're going to crown a champion. There will be 2 winners here this weekend on the Ohio River.
That's what I like about the format. After the first section, the progression increases with boat count. Last chance, you mentioned 3 boats, 4-boat final heat. We will crown a championship heat winner tomorrow afternoon here at Madison. Then Brad, on Sunday, for the Indiana Governor's Cup trophy, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb will be on site to hand out the Indiana Governor's Cup to the winning driver.
He was in town yesterday afternoon. I happened to be at the same restaurant he was at. He's here, and he's ready to go. The fans are ready to go. This should be a really, really good race, a good weekend of racing here.
Governor Holcomb, big guy, a native of Indianapolis, played basketball at Indianapolis Pike. If you're familiar with high school basketball in the state of Indiana, Pike has always been a powerhouse, and he graduated just to the west of us here on the Ohio River at Hanover College.
So he knows all there is to know about hydroplane racing on the Ohio River. This 2.5-mile race course. It's long, it's narrow. There's Kelly Stockland. Boy, I've talked to Kelly so many times this year getting ready for this season, and talked to his driver, Dave Vilwalk. Dave has won so much in this sport. And the last conversation I had with Dave in the test sessions back or out west at the Tri-Cities, it was, Dave, you've won everything. But Kelly, he's never tasted victory as an owner. Man, wouldn't that be something?
They're due. Without a doubt, they are due. They ran well last year, Brad, but it was a learning curve with this boat. We saw in Guntersville the potential of the U40 Beacon Plumbing. Dave Vilwalk was turning laps in the low 160 barrier, just behind the hometown favorite this weekend, the Miss Madison Racing entry of Jimmy Shane in Miss Home Street. But Dave Vilwalk, with all that experience, he's won 9 Indiana Governor's Cups. Could win number 68 happen at 5 o'clock on Sunday? We'll see.
One of the boats he's going to have to beat is that powder blue and white Home Street, owned by the citizens of Madison, Indiana. And if our fans look at the pit area and look to the right end of it, it's coming off the trailer right now. Jeff, that boat in Guntersville, Alabama, you saw it, so did I. That's as fast an unlimited hydroplane as I have ever seen.
Such a sweetheart of a race boat campaign by Miss Madison Racing. Jimmy Shane, the pilot, the native of Havre de Grace, Maryland, now residing in San Antonio, Texas. Of course, was the physical winner on the track last weekend at the APBA Gold Cup, but a below 80-mile-per-hour rule prior to the start took a DQ to the home street, and that vaulted Corey Peabody to the top to win his first APBA Gold Cup in the Lynx Healthcare. But on paper, Brad, and you know I like to handicap him because of a little place southwest of here at Churchill Downs. No doubt coming in here, the favorite on paper is the Home Street blue and white Miss Home Street.
And there's still something we have not seen this year on the 2022 circuit, even though we had 4 sections of heat races in Guntersville and the final. In the heat races leading up to that final heat, Dave Vilwalk and Jimmy Shane never drew each other. So there was the big showdown set for the final, and through a strange set of circumstances that you just touched on with the Home Street and similar situations happening to the Beacon, we never saw it. It's coming this weekend. Those two are going to have to square off.
Speaking of Miss Madison Racing, the first time ever the hometown team will compete 2 boats at the Madison Regatta. The second entry is the black and gold Miss Goodman Real Estate. Jeff Bernard, the pilot, the native of Allen Park, Michigan, now residing in Kent, Washington, had a runner-up finish at last weekend's APBA Gold Cup. And Brad, that boat, the original 2007 Oberto, with Steve David behind the wheel. It's 15 years of age, but it's still got it.
Third winningest hull in the history of H1 Unlimited hydroplane racing, to include 4 Gold Cups and 8 National High Points titles. That boat is capable of winning anytime they put it on the water.
Testing coming up next when we get the Ohio River Racecourse open. Brad, the officials stressed to me from Pro Light and GPA earlier, it could be a mixture of the classes out here, not only with H1 Unlimited, but our Grand Prix America Hydroplane Series presented by Knighton Industries, and our Pro Light Hydroplane Tour with their sponsor Phenom Digital, along with RSTZ Transport. Beautiful shot of the home street for our viewers online. Hovering over the water, we see a patrol boat just below our location, Brad. And hopefully here in a matter of moments, we'll get the green light, green flag from the officials to open up the Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Racecourse for the 2022 Madison Regatta. For our viewers watching online and listening to us here along the shoreline via the public address system, Brad and I will take a slight break, but stay tuned. Up next, we'll be testing here on the Ohio River.
Check. Check, check. All right. So they're still shorting it, so come to the other side of the road.
Back here on the Ohio River, Madison, Indiana. Back here on the Ohio River in Madison, Indiana, Jeff Ayler along with Brad Luce. As you see on screen through H1 Unlimited via YouTube, the H1 rescue craft making its way out on the race course. And Brad, we've got good news for our fans at home and here along the shoreline. The first unlimited hydroplane to be put in the water in 2022 here in Madison is Miss Beacon Plumbing. You see Dave Vilwalk, the all-time winningest driver in the sport of H1 Unlimited hydroplane racing, making his way to that massive 28-foot craft, 14-foot width, racing trim at 6,700 pounds. All boats this weekend are powered by the Lycoming turbine engine T55, cranks out 2,600 horse, or just a touch above. We could see shoot speeds here at 190 or 195. And of course, Brad, these boats are well capable of 200, but race setup is 200 safe, maybe 10 miles per hour below that at 190, a little more manageable.
I think that's what we'll see on these long straightaways when they get down to the bottom end of the race course. We've had the two boats, the 40, the Beacon Plumbing, and the 1, the Miss Home Street, hanging over the water for the last 15, maybe 20 minutes. But now, as our fans watching on the H1 Unlimited YouTube channel can see, and our fans here on the shoreline, the two boats, the Beacon Plumbing, the Miss Home Street, have been dropped now in the water. Slings have been removed. Dave Vilwalk is getting strapped in. Our H1 official rescue boat has made its way to the center of the race course. And it's not going to be long now. We are going to have H1 Unlimited hydroplanes out on the Ohio River to open up the weekend, kind of christen the water, if you will. As you mentioned about 15 minutes ago, Jeff, the race course and the river, it just looks beautiful. Let's get going.
Water looks great, and this is testing only for the H1 Unlimited hydroplane boats. We will read speeds to you. They will be transferred to us from our on-site engineer, Tana Morissette. Great to have Tana on-site working with us this weekend, Brad, and so glad that you could join us here in Madison along with Tana, and going to be a fun weekend here in Madison. Testing up until 1 o'clock, and then we'll take a lunch break. The actual qualifying session for H1 Unlimited will begin at 3 o'clock, and that will be approximate 1 hour to 1 hour and 15-minute qualifying session. You see the umbrella over Dave Vilwalk and the Beacon Plumbing, the crew strapping Dave into the enclosed capsule. Boy, beautiful paint job and scheme on the dominant orange and black U40 Miss Beacon Plumbing, and the owners are Kelly and Sharon Stockland out of Snohomish, Washington. And Brad, it's just a matter of time as owners to get their first ever win in H1 Unlimited. It's coming. I think it's coming this year. Will it be tomorrow in the showdown, or will it be Sunday for the Indiana Governor's Cup?
Well, whenever it does come, it is indeed coming, and that's going to be a lot of fun, because when Kelly and Sharon finally get their first victory, I'd like to be a part of it. I got a hunch they'll close down the pit area, and it might be kind of a fun place to be. There's going to be some serious celebrating. They have worked so hard, the brain trust, and there is a deep brain trust involved in this U40, the Beacon Plumbing, and they have worked very, very hard this off-season to get this boat ready to go. And as Dave Vilwalk has told me many, many times, and it's a great, great line that he likes to quote, he said, Roger Penske told me one time many, many years ago, have you ever noticed that the people that seem to work the hardest always get to have the best luck? And it's a very true statement, and boy, it's one they live by down in that camp. Oh, that victory's coming. It could very well be here on the Ohio River. What did you say? Dave's won here 9 times?
9 times, and he knows how to get around this 2.5-mile Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Racecourse. You see Jimmy Shane waving to our cameras through H1 Unlimited, making his way to the home street blue and white. Miss Home Street, final fist pumps before the local favorite from Miss Madison Racing will take to the water in testing here on the Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Racecourse. And Brad, we mentioned Dave Vilwalk. 9 Indiana Governor's Cup wins. The first one came back in 1997, driving the Miss Budweiser. And your first ever appearance to Madison with your wife, Debbie, the Angel, 1998. Dave Vilwalk won the September edition of the Indiana Governor's Cup as the races were delayed from July to September due to the Ohio River being high in water level and cantankerous with debris.
That's what it was, and they put it to the Labor Day weekend instead of the 4th of July weekend. That had and presented all different types of issues, but the boats put on a great show. It was the first unlimited hydroplane race that my wife, Debbie, a.k.a. the Angel, got to see, and she was hooked at that point, and we've been boat racing together ever since.
And Vilwalk captured the 2000 version, and Miss Budweiser came back in 2003 again, driving for Bernie Little. In 2004, Madison hosted the UIM World Championship race. Dave Vilwalk, Miss Budweiser. Then we go into the Elam period, driving for the Elstrom family. 2006 winner, 2007, 2009, then won in the Spirit of Qatar, driving for Dave Vilwalk at the Lucas Oil Indiana Governor's Cup in 2012. 10 years ago, great to see this guy here on the shoreline. I need to give him a souvenir. He is walking away. I will not give you a formal introduction because you were tardy yesterday, but great to see you.
He's tardy yesterday and he's shy this morning, but he still gets a button from Jeff Ayler. Oh, good to have him here. Just wait.
That's my picture, by the way. He said.
We're just waiting for a lid to go down here, I think, on the 40. They're about ready to go. Dave is in the cockpit. Those watching the live stream across the country and around the world can see that. Got the umbrella up there, giving Dave a little bit of shade.
Also, too, we have a Grand Prix America boat presented by Knighton Industries on the crane slings. It's the GP15 local sponsor Super Shine. Jeremy and Kendall up on Madison Hilltop. Brad are hydroplane fanatics and have put the Super Shine name on hop racing for many years here at the Madison Regatta. And great to see the contingency sponsor for the hops this year in Bardall.
Yeah, it's great to see Bardall, and you see the Bardall flags hanging around their pit area. For those of us of a certain vintage, well, the Bardall's a pretty big name in boat racing. Ole Bardall, way back in the 50s, got started with his first boat. It wasn't terribly competitive, but he decided this is something he wanted to jump into, had a number of boats built, claimed many Gold Cups, National High Points Championships, Ron Musson, Billy Schumacher, all synonymous with Bardall Racing.
Funny thing about that, another guy with the initials BL, his first unlimited hydroplane race did not go that good either, and that was Bernie Little.
That was Bernie Little, and he blew up some equipment at the dock and never got out on the race course, and the entire pit area laughed at him. And he made the comment, they will not laugh at me anymore, and they never did.
They did not. The all-time winningest owner in the sport, and beautiful shot you see there of Dave Vilwalk inside the enclosed capsule of the U40 Beacon Plumbing. And Brad, you know the sponsor very well, Bill Cahill of Beacon Plumbing. He loves boat racing. He's a fan of Dave Vilwalk, and so glad to see Bill and Beacon Plumbing back on board in the H1 Unlimited Series.
It's really good to have Bill Cahill and the whole Beacon Plumbing organization behind boat racing again. It is a Seattle operation, but it is a very large Seattle operation, synonymous with boat racing, and everybody loves their slogan, that stop freaking, call Beacon.
And speaking of Miss Madison Racing sponsor, Miss Home Street, based in the Pacific Northwest, Home Street Bank, led by CEO Mark Mason.
Good to have Mark Mason and Home Street's involvement in the sport. And it's more, much more than just that beautiful powder blue and white hydroplane. Many of the races are sponsored by Home Street Bank. It will be the Home Street Bank Cup at Seafair this year. We get to go racing on home street, home waters on Lake Washington. By the time we get there, Jeff, it will be 3 years since we put an unlimited in competition on Lake Washington, and that is long, long overdue.
And it's great to see the big boats back on Lake Washington for the Home Street Bank Cup at Seafair. You'll be on the public address system there at Seafair, joined by 2004 APBA Gold Cup winner and color commentator Nate Brown.
Had Nate Brown on the pipes the last time we had a race in Seattle for the first time. He joined me as a quote-unquote color commentator. Jeff Ayler, I'm just going to tell you right now, that's something you need to do. I learned so much about hydroplane racing just listening to him talk both on and off the mic. It was terrific. I reached out to him about a month and a half ago and asked him if he would be willing to join us again. He wholeheartedly jumped in. Excited to have him back, and I thought we were going to have the lid down there, but not quite yet.
And speaking of the Brown family, Nate's nephew, Kip Brown, is here this weekend, the 2013 APBA Gold Cup winner. In the Spirit of Qatar, Kip, a part of Strong Racing, and Kip is a valuable crew member on that team, helping make last-minute repairs once again to the tip of that right sponson that was damaged at last weekend's APBA Gold Cup at Guntersville. If we mention Nate, we got to mention Kip.
Yes, you got to mention Kip, and he was introduced at the drivers' meeting this morning as a recognized qualified driver. He took laps in the U8. He took laps in the U8, the Miss Tri-Cities at San Diego last year, because there was some question whether or not J. Michael Kelly was going to be able to drive that weekend. Mike ended up driving, claimed the National High Points Championship from a driver perspective. So J. Michael Kelly in a boat we haven't yet spoke of, the U8, the Miss Tri-Cities, he's our defending champ when it comes to sitting behind the wheel.
I saw Kip's test run last year in San Diego through H1 Unlimited via YouTube. Just like riding a bicycle. You were there in person. When he steps in one, he knows how to drive.
He knows how to drive it, and that's a boat he drove right out of the box when it was first built back in, 2014. I think the boat went to the water, and Kip was the driver for Eric and Sven Elstrom. So he knows the boat. He took it out in San Diego. Kip wasn't with us last week down in Guntersville, Alabama. Why? His family was racing. Imagine that. He had a racing commitment, but he's here this weekend, and he will be in the ears of J. Michael Kelly when that beautiful silver and bright, bright orange U8 Miss Tri-Cities takes to the water.
6 H1 Unlimited hydroplanes will compete in Madison for tomorrow's showdown format and on Sunday for the Indiana Governor's Cup. We have 7 Grand Prix America boats presented by Knighton Industries. They will actually run heats 1A and 1B today. And Brad, we have a 9-boat field in the Phenom Digital Pro Light Hydroplane Tour, and they will also run heats 1A and 1B later this afternoon here in Madison. Got a great lineup. We saw Jack Lupton win in GPA at Guntersville last week. He is here, but I got a funny feeling Ken Lupton would like to win here in Madison.
Yeah, Ken had an unfortunate experience, if you will. His boat slid out a little bit during one of the heats. He caught a rooster tail. Boat really didn't go over, didn't damage the boat. They were actually able to come back and run in the final, but it wasn't up to snuff. And that boat, as we saw in the prelims down in Guntersville, was an absolute rocket. It's very, very fast. Lid is down on Dave Vilwalk, but I want to come back to what you were saying just a moment ago, Jeff, about the Pro Light Series presented by Phenom Digital. What a final heat they had last week.
Oh, it was incredible. Dylan Runney won in Roger Mahan's Pleasure Seekers by 10 feet over Bobby King, with his boat this weekend being called Miss LDC Construction, presented by Diego's Mexican Grill. Dylan Runney unable to be in Madison. Jimmy King will step into the cockpit of the Pleasure Seekers here this weekend in Madison. Fans along the shoreline, our first H1 Unlimited hydroplane to take to the Ohio River at the 2022 Madison Regatta is your all-time winningest driver in the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing, Dave Vilwalk. 67 career wins, 9 wins at Madison, 10 APBA Gold Cups. Brad, he returned to the series last year, and he is driving for fun. He is having fun driving for his owners and friends, Sharon and Kelly Stockland.
The only thing you left off, although you could talk about Dave Vilwalk for 20 minutes and never touch base on everything that he's done, but he's also got 10 H1 Unlimited National High Points Championships. Nobody has more than Dave in that category. Good to see an H1 Unlimited back on the water here in the Ohio River. I know it's a great tradition. Jeff, it's got to get you going. You've been here for a long, long time watching this.
I've been here for a long time. Got hooked in the year 1971, just behind us at the old pizza restaurant with my late father. I was 7 1/2 years old, and now at 58, still kicking and still enjoying working on the microphone, especially with guys like you, Brad Luce. We're going to have a great weekend. The weather looks ideal, maybe some scattered showers from here to there, but underneath the Milton-Madison Bridge is Dave Vilwalk and the U40 Miss Beacon Plumbing. The rooster tail rises, so Madison, testing is underway.
We are underway as Dave comes across start-finish line. He came off the top end of the race course, Jeff, and it was like, oh yeah, I remember this place. The hammer went down and he's hard through turn 1 to the exit pin just like that. We all know how rough that water can get coming off of that exit pin. We'll be talking about it a lot. But Dave Vilwalk up the backstretch, U40, Beacon Plumbing.
Brad, we mentioned this 2 1/2 mile course, the longest straightaways on the H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series. It was the same distance as the course in Guntersville last week. I know Miss Madison Racing, when the 2 boats arrived in town, gearbox changes, different gear ratios for the boats here in Madison with these long straightaways. And right out of the box, speaking of gears, this one looks good.
This one does look good. I went to both test sessions. So did this boat. They look good at both test sessions. They looked fast in Guntersville. He looks pretty quick right now.
Vilwalk by the start-finish line buoy. U40 Miss Beacon Plumbing. We begin our testing program here at the 2022 Madison Regatta. Through that tight turn, roller activity looks ideal down there right now off turn number 1. Of course, only one boat out on the course right now. And when we get a time from H1 Unlimited, we'll deliver it to you. 154.339 miles per hour. 154.339. Brad, there's more left.
That's a quick one right out of the box. Dave, already up at the top end of the race course here. Again, as you mentioned, Jeff Ayler, for our fans that are here this morning, this is a test session only. These lap speeds will not count toward their qualification, which they will do for both events. And we're going to talk about this showdown that's coming up, and qualifying speeds are going to be very important for that showdown format because the boats are actually going to be seeded based on that qualifying speed. But this is just a test session. This is drivers finding out what setup they like on this 2 1/2 mile course. Dave comes off a little slower this time down at the lower end after a couple of quick laps. Stepped it up a little bit, Jeff. 156.431, 156.431 for Dave on the second hot lap here in testing.
So he upped it by 2 miles per hour. Dave Vilwalk, you see slow on the back straightaway. Brad, I have my secondary watch. We'll see if Dave elects to make a timing run. These races tomorrow and on Sunday is a clock start format. And Brad, the name of the game in boat racing with all 3 of our racing classes this weekend, the white buoys right below us here at the judges stand. You want your craft just a touch to the left-hand side of those when the clock strikes 0. And H1 Unlimited, when you jump the gun, that is a 1-lap penalty. So Brad, ideally 17 seconds off that exit pin, but now the rooster tail, we'll see what it is here at the bridge. Nope, looks like he didn't get on the throttle there. So when we call the races tomorrow and on Sunday, off that exit pin of turn number 2, the start finish line, Brad, that's generally a 17-second run. If we're at 12 seconds at the bridge, mash the gas.
Put it down. You've got a great line across the water there when you get the shadow underneath that bridge, so our fans will be watching that. All our racing here this weekend is going to be on a clock start. And as you just said, name of the game, put the boat on the line, clean water, a lot of boat speed, right when the clock strikes 0.
Pro Light and GPA gun jumpers, it is a 1-minute penalty on elapsed time as they will run the 1 1/4 mile course here in Madison. All their heats, 4 laps, 5 mile competition heats for Pro Light and Grand Prix America. So Brad, we're off to a great start. I think Dave Vilwalk will converse with owner Kelly Stockland and crew chief Taylor Evans to inform them how the run was. And of course at 3 o'clock this afternoon will be H1 Unlimited Hydroplane qualifying, and Brad, that is an important session because that is scored for national points.
It is scored for national high points, and even we talked about the qualifying speeds are going to determine the seeding for our match races that are going to take place tomorrow afternoon. But you are correct, the qualifying speeds also count for points for our national high points championship, and they do still count toward making the final heat here in the Indiana Governor's Cup, which we will run on Sunday. Home Street Bank's coming away from the dock. Fans here in Madison, here comes your boat.
Miss Madison Racing, the first of 2 entries this weekend for Miss Madison Incorporated. Beautiful shot of the Home Street blue and white leaving the pit dock on our monitor through H1 Unlimited via YouTube. Jimmy Shane, the native of Havre de Grace, Maryland, now residing in San Antonio, Texas, takes to the water in U1 Miss Home Street, and Brad kind of coining Keith Jackson from the 71 Gold Cup. There'll be a lot of interest on the shoreline this weekend for Miss Home Street.
Oh, absolutely there will. And this boat was christened in 2018 at the Tri-Cities of Washington on the Columbia River. And Jeff, from the time they first put this thing in the water, you knew it was quick. It was a very, very fast race boat right out of the box. We've seen a fast lap turned already, a 1:56.431. What a great shot there. Our fans are seeing on the live stream the drone up above the bridge as Jimmy went underneath it. And he's at the top end of the race course. He knows this race course. He doesn't need a slow warm-up. Here comes Jimmy Shane, the U1 Miss Home Street.
Water conditions perfect this 4th of July weekend in Madison, Indiana. And Shane will begin this testing lap on the clock in U1 Miss Home Street, just walking slightly from side to side across the start-finish line buoy into the west turn number 1 here on the Ohio River. Works through there perfectly, exits the corner, and Brad, this is the key of this race boat. Off the turn, the acceleration is phenomenal.
The acceleration is terrific. We saw that last weekend, but on this particular race course, while all of them will reward acceleration, with these long straightaways, it also is going to reward a lot of top-end speed. Jimmy underneath the bridge up at the top end. Look at the big wall of water that comes off that skid fin on the trailing edge of the left sponson. That helps keep him in a line when he's in the corner. He slides out to about lane 3, maybe 4. Jimmy Shane, he was a winner here on the Ohio River a year ago. He was driving a different boat. Claimed a Gold Cup here. It was his 5th.
Looks good across the start-finish line buoy, back into turn number 1. When we get a speed from H1 Unlimited, we'll deliver it to you here along the shoreline and watch it at home via H1 Unlimited through YouTube. Speed for Jimmy Shane. Brad, by my eye, I thought it was quicker, 152.622 miles per hour, 152.622, and I think you and I both know, and the fans on the shoreline and at home, there's more left.
Oh, there's definitely more left. And I think Jimmy had an issue down here in the lower corner on that first lap, that 152. From my eye, I thought he was cleaner at the bottom end of the race course this time. We'll see if he doesn't step up and improve on that 152. New fans to boat racing. Notice you can see right underneath that hydroplane. He's running on a cushion of air. Oh boy, he's quick right there on that front straightaway, Jeff. That was really solid.
Good looking boat ride back into turn number 1. Of course, the crew chief of Miss Home Street is Mike Hansen, longtime team member for Miss Madison Racing. Lap number 2 for Jimmy Shane, Miss Home Street, 156.304 miles per hour. 156.304, just a touch slower than Vilwalk. And Brad, Shane, like Vilwalk, 2 hot laps, now down on power, trying to get the feel early on of the craft on this Ohio River race course.
Yep, he's, I think, happy with those 2 laps. We'll watch him, see if he doesn't make a timing run to the start-finish line. We'll talk about that all weekend. That is the name of the game here in H1 Unlimited hydroplane racing and in all forms of racing that we will have here this weekend, whether it is our GPAs presented by Knighton Industries or our ProLite hydroplanes presented by Phenom Digital. And here comes Jimmy. He's going to make a hard run to the line. He's got a radio man up here, Jeff, who is talking to him. He said, all right, I'm going to punch it right now. I'm at this point, and they're going to time him to start-finish line right now.
Timing run for Jimmy Shane off turn number 2, the start-finish line buoy. Brad, I have to do it for our friend Doug Bernstein watching in Detroit. Doug, that was 17.91 seconds. 17 seconds off turn number 2, the start-finish line. It never changes.
It's funny. The course doesn't change, neither do the timing marks. Imagine that. We'll see what Jimmy does this time. He may do it again. He may come from a different lane. He may come from a different angle, or he may cut the course and bring the boat back to the pit area, and I think that's what he's going to do, Jeff. They're going to come back to the dock. We've got one of our GPA hydroplanes presented by Knighton Industries in the water. And it's one I like. It is our GP15, the Super Shine. Greg Hopp out of the Pacific Northwest is in the water. So Jeff's going to get real loud here in a few minutes.
Oh, it sure will, Brad. We'll get the Grand Prix America boats out here, and they are so exciting. We have the world's largest hydroplane class on the planet in H1 Unlimited, followed by Grand Prix America. The GPA boats, 24-foot length, 12-foot width, powered by the 468 cubic inch supercharged engine, generates 1,400 horsepower. Racing trim with the pilot inside, 2,700 pounds. Brad, the GPA boat's well capable of up to 170 miles per hour. Shoot speeds here in Madison at the end of each shoot, probably looking at 140 to 150.
Yep, they're quick. They're loud, they're quick, and this is, well, similar to the H1 hydroplanes that we have here and our ProLite boats.
We got a cooker there on the screen.
We certainly do. We got a hot start off the tail end of the U11. But we have three boats here in our GPA, our ProLites, and our H1 Unlimited. Jeff, I don't know that I've ever been to an event where we've had 3 sets of boats here that are going to race against each other that are this closely set together. This is a very competitive set of boats here.
Very competitive, but Brad, all the boats, all 3 classes, great paint jobs, paint schemes. Everyone looks clean, sharp, and fast.
And they're colorful for those of us that are a little color challenged right there. Got to give a shout out here to Jared Meyer, doing a great job on the dock down there for those watching on the H1 Unlimited YouTube network. That is Jared Meyer down there with the camera, getting some great shots. You saw the black box, which isn't black, getting taken up to tech inspection where it can go through, and Jimmy Shane handing off the helmet. And Jimmy Shane will walk off the dock. Had 2 Unlimiteds hit the water, both of them north of 156 miles an hour. Just letting everybody know we're here.
Up next, we see Greg Hopp out of Lake Stevens, Washington. The enclosed capsule, the lid is down on the GP15 Super Shine. Jerry Hopp, Greg's father, the owner out of Snohomish, Washington. Brad, you were looking at the records for qualifying for H1 Unlimited here in Madison. Of course, those were set engine restriction days.
As Greg Hopp comes away from the dock in the Super Shine, we mentioned it was about to get a little bit noisy, and indeed it did. And as you said, Jeff, our qualification record here on this 2.5-mile course was set by Chip Hanauer and Miss Budweiser in 1993, but that was pre-fuel restriction. And boy, was that a hot lap. 166.8 miles an hour. I don't think we're going to see anything quite that quick, but we're going to see some laps here awfully fast. And those 156s that were posted early by the U1 and the U40, we're going to see a lot of those.
And Brad, for our fans along the shoreline and watching at home via H1 Unlimited through YouTube, this testing session, we were told by the officials, will feature a mixture of all three classes. If you're a fan of H1 Unlimited, stick with us, because the other four crafts I expect will take to the water. We saw the trailer fire of the U11 ran last weekend as the Miss Colleen. That is the Unlimited Racing Group out of Cle Elum, Washington.
And if you take the state of Washington and have no idea where Cle Elum might be, put a pin in the center of the state and you're going to be within 50, 60 miles of Cle Elum. It is in central Washington, a small little community. Great little spot on the map, and oh, have they got a sweet little place there just outside downtown Cle Elum, just off of I-90.
Greg Hopp leisurely into turn number one in the Super Shine. Brad, the Hopp Racing team out of the Pacific Northwest in Snohomish, they had engine troubles last weekend at the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest. They took the boat up to Greensburg, Indiana at Advantage Pest Control. They took two motors to make one motor. Right now they're just shaking it down, got their fingers crossed, because this boat does have a shot this weekend in Madison to win in Grand Prix America presented by Knighton Industries, because you saw this particular boat win last year in San Diego.
I did, and I've been watching this boat for many, many years, as many of our fans here in Madison have. If we want to take ourselves back a little bit to the Unlimited Lights class from many years ago, we talked about this last weekend. There was a boat there called Alamo, and it was driven by Bo Scheid. And man, oh man, if you could beat Bo Scheid in the Alamo, you've done something. This is an older hull. It's not as wide as some of these new ones, but when you get it on the straightaway and wind it up, oh man, he can run with anybody.
That Alamo boat, I believe, was here as well in 1998, your first appearance in Madison. And the owner, Ned Allen, the driver, Alan Bo Scheid, they were fast and tough. And this boat's always been a hot one, as Greg Hopp touring the 1 1/4 mile race course here on the Ohio River. Beautiful shot from the drone up above. City of Madison, the pit area in the background, and just trying to get some readings, make certain everything is fine with the gauges, and also to the sound and noise of this boat. Greg Hopp, no doubt a player this weekend with local sponsor Super Shine, auto detailing and window tinting. Yes, that's on Madison's Hilltop. The owners, Jeremy and Kendall, Brad, they are Hydroplane fanatics. Every time they see me at Chandler Chevrolet, or if we go to Super Shine, Jeff, what's up with the boats? What's up with the boats? They love it.
My wife wants to get the windows tinted on her car, so apparently I know now where to go and get that done.
And they use Lumar Window Film Tint, a one-time sponsor in H1 Unlimited.
So Greg here just out breaking in a motor that was put together, as Jeff just said. Putting a motor together here, taking parts from two motors and making one good strong one. Jeff did have one good hard run at the line. That's the version of a Grand Prix America timing run. Greg Hopp out of Snohomish going to bring the boat back to the dock. A successful run. We've got more GPA boats in the water.
Brad, with that, it's early in the weekend. I need to take a little break. You need a little break?
Let's step away from the mics. I'll take a break. We got a break in the action. It's the 2022 Indiana Governor's Cup.
Back at the judges stand, day number 1 of 3 of activity here on the Ohio River for the 2022 Madison Regatta. Also, too, our public address system broadcast is being shown on the World Wide Web at H1 Unlimited through YouTube. I'm Jeff Ayler, along with our third voice this weekend at the Madison Regatta. You hear him here locally on the morning show on Works 96.7 FM WRX, the Hornet from DuPont, Jordan Bear. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff Ayler, and good morning, race fans. Good morning, Madison, Indiana. I cannot tell you how excited I am that we are back here. It's beautiful weather all weekend long. We have 3 classes of boats. We got a big trophy we're giving away Sunday, Jeff, to be able to be alongside you again, and also for the first time ever with Brad Luce, who I have so much respect for. Jeff, as you can tell, I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. I'm just a little excited.
You and I will hook up for the Pro Light and Grand Prix America race calls. You'll be helping us with pit interviews with H1 Unlimited. But if old Froggy here gets a little bit weak, you better be ready to come into action, because that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here, indeed. You got to bring in the young bucks sometimes, Jeff. What can you say? But not that you're not a young man anymore. You still are, of course. You and Brad both. But so happy again. It was such a great weekend in Guntersville last week. The water looked so good. I know a lot of Madison fans are upset with what happened in the final, obviously with Shane's boat going dead. But to me, a really cool feel-good moment when we saw Corey Peabody win the APBA Gold Cup. I was talking to Tim and Travis last week, and they were down in Guntersville, said he was the wild card all weekend long, and he just ran so well down there. And let me tell you what, the Grand Prix and Pro Lights were great, especially that Pro Light final, which was right before the APBA Gold Cup final. Came down, it was deck to deck in that last lap. You cannot ask for anything better if you're a race fan.
Dylan Runney won by 10 feet over Bobby King. Dylan unable to be here this weekend, Jordan, and in that boat will be Jimmy King, Bobby King's father, who Dylan defeated last week. And of course, this weekend, Bobby King's boat is the LDC Construction, presented by Diego's Mexican Grill on Madison's Hilltop at the corner of Clifty Drive and Highway 7.
Absolutely, the 242. And, Jimmy King, of course, we saw him last week in the Griggs Ace Hardware in an unlimited boat. But you know what? He's one of the best. He's a legend in this sport. He's won a Gold Cup, has Jimmy King. And, a guy who really, you get these guys behind Grand Prix, it's just so different. It's such a different kind of feel for it. I know a lot of people think about the Unlimiteds. I remember when the Grand Prix came here for the first time a few years ago, and I remember the show they put on, and all the fans were just raving about the noise, too. That's one thing my dad, who you know so well, he talked about the noise. It almost brought him back to what the old days were of when the piston boats, the Allison-powered boats, and you heard all that noise all up even on the hilltop there, which I wasn't alive then, so I can't speak for that. But you know what? I'm ready to see it. It looks like we have another Unlimited that's getting ready to get back out on the water as well.
We'll see which boats go first, Jordan. We have our entries from Waverly, New Zealand here this weekend. Jack Lupton, the winner at Guntersville last week in Lupton Motorsports. And Ken Lupton had a frightening moment at the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest. They made repairs on that boat west of here out at Clifty Engineering. Ken Lupton's boat is in the water as well, the Lucas Oil. So lots of activity taking place. And Jordan, I know you had to make it late this morning because your boss, Tim Torrance with 96.7 FM WRX, he would not allow you to come down here early to help, but you're here now, and it's just going to be a fun weekend. And for your information, this testing session will go until 1 o'clock, and we'll have a mixture of all 3 classes take to the Ohio River in testing.
And to me, that's awesome, and it's great for the fans today as well. And, we have this, of course, then we have qualifying later today. We also have 4 heats coming up. We have 2 heats for Grand Prix and 2 heats in the Pro Lights. Then we have the shootout tomorrow, which, of course, will be based off the seating for each race and where their lanes will be based on qualifying today and tomorrow morning as well. To me, as a fan, you can't beat it. I've already, walking down here, I've already seen my dear friend Ashley Birchmeyer, the SID out at Hanover. I've seen her already. I see a ton of people down here already. Let me tell you what, it's only 11:15 on Friday, but fans are excited, Jeff. They've been counting down the minutes until they can set up their tarps and chairs here on the Ohio River. The water looks great. The weather's going to be great. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing.
Before we fire up some boats, Jordan, of course, plenty of souvenirs here along the shoreline. Your official Madison Regatta merchandise is right below the regatta office. here on Vaughn Drive. Stop by and see Jeff, Christine, Ann, and John for your official goodies of Madison Regatta. I had a wonderful dinner with them last night at Mad Love on Main Street. Had a wonderful time visiting with them. And also, too, your official merchandise from Miss Madison Racing is available. See the pop-up tent, the Home Street tent?
I do.
That's where you can get all sorts of goodies, not only from Miss Madison, but other teams as well.
And to me, Jeff, every year at Regatta, I always get myself a couple goodies here and there, whether it be a hat or a shirt. I'm going to have to probably, maybe during our lunch period, have to go up there and make a trip and get maybe myself a hat, because I'm wearing a UK hat, proudly, I must say, but I think I need something like yours.
And tonight is the first night of the Rooster Tail
Yes.
Music Festival with the headliner, 38 Special.
Yep, absolutely. I played a song by them about 20 till 7 maybe this morning. And
Was it Fantasy Girl?
it was not Fantasy Girl. It was Hold On Loosely is what I played today.
Well, that's a good one as well.
It is a good one, I must say. But, you know, I just want to give such big props to Brent Turner and the entire committee of the Rooster Tail Music Festival, because they, I think I talked to Brent a couple Fridays ago, and he said, I think last August or September is when he started scheduling these headliners. And the fact that we get 38 Special, which is a legendary group from the 80s, Jody Messina, who's a country superstar that my mom really likes a lot of her music. Let me tell you what, this could be one of the best music festivals you'll find, not only just in Southern Indiana, but just anywhere in the country right now.
Then tomorrow evening, the Rooster Tail Music Festival will start. Then we'll stop for the 10 o'clock fireworks show. And then when the fireworks are concluded, the top act tomorrow night is country music sensation Jody Messina.
Jody Messina, indeed. And, Brad Luce, I think he wants to get on here, because I think Brad wants to do some singing for us. And I think he does. So, Jeff, I think I'm going to hand the microphone to him so you and Brad can do your thing, and maybe I need to start looking ahead what I'm going to do out here on the docks in a minute.
Thank you, Jordan
Thank you,
Bear.
Jordan.
Jordan will rejoin me when we get the Pro Light and GPAs out here on the Ohio River. Brad Luce rejoins me for the H1 Unlimited activity. And on the water is last weekend's APBA Gold Cup winner at the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest, Corey Peabody, out of Kent, Washington, driving for Daryl and Vanessa Strong. And the U9, Lynx Healthcare, a new sponsor. What a way to get into the sport. Your first race as a sponsor, Gold Cup.
How does that work? Yeah, we've seen owners and drivers and so forth come into a race and win their first event they ever entered. I don't know that we have had a sponsor show up at their first ever race and claim the APBA Gold Cup. But what a moment. Lynx Healthcare, we said it last weekend, we'll say it again now. So glad to have them as part of our H1 Unlimited series. They're on the deck of the U9. Corey Peabody, all I'm going to say about him, Jeff, is he will be a terrific representative as the APBA Gold Cup champion. A great kid.
He absolutely will. And for Miss Madison fans, this is your home race, the second entry. The gold and black Miss Goodman Real Estate in the water at the pit dock with driver Jeff Bernard, the native of Allen Park, Michigan, now residing in Kent, Washington. So, Brad, two rooting interests along the shoreline this weekend for the fans of Madison with the U1 and the U91. And a little trivia on U91. Our service department manager, Chandler Chevrolet, asked me before the Guntersville race, Jeff, why is that second boat U91? I go, 1991 was the year the sponsor, John Goodman, began his business. And John Goodman, thank you so much for being involved in H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Racing. We love it.
Yeah, he's a real estate mogul out in the Pacific Northwest, but he is also very community-minded. He is very active in the community. You may not know it. You may not hear his name published a lot. He doesn't really pursue a lot of notoriety. Obviously, with the name on the boat, you see that part, but he is very, very community conscious, and the whole Northwest is very, very lucky to have a John Goodman in the backyard.
Brad, you do this so well. We were so fortunate to be at the APBA Gold Cup last weekend at Lake Guntersville in northeast Alabama. We see Corey Peabody going at a leisurely pace out on the racetrack. This is involving strategy when we go racing on Saturday and Sunday with this little leisurely stroll.
Yeah, it really is, because when our boats come out, our H1 Unlimited hydroplanes, when they take to the water, they cannot go below 80 miles an hour. And their speeds are recorded on that box, that black box, which isn't, by the way. But it's recorded on those data recorders, and they can be called for slipping below 80 miles an hour during and prior to a heat. So it's important to know if they run 82, 83 miles an hour, just how long did it take them to go all the way around this 2.5 mile oval. Corey hard through the lower corner, comes off the lower end of the race course, and he's on his way down that long, long back chute.
This is last weekend's APBA Gold Cup winner. Fans in Madison have seen this boat here many times before as a dominant white boat driven by Andrew Tate. It won the 2017 Indiana Governor's Cup. Brad, this is the oldest boat in the fleet. Doesn't show its age on the course. It's quick.
No, not at all. And we talked about that last weekend. It's the oldest hull ever to win the APBA Gold Cup. But these boats are reworked so hard during the off season. If there's any trouble with a boat or any weak link in the entire system, it gets rebuilt. So when you say it's 30 years old, don't think for a minute it's been 30 years since anybody's been under the decks on this thing.
Peabody back into turn number 1, U9 Links Healthcare. When we get a test time, we'll deliver it to you over the public address system here at Madison, working through that tight turn 1. Maneuvers nicely through there up the back straightaway along the Trimble County, Kentucky shoreline of the Ohio River. Brad, that first lap, 150.829, 150.829.
Yeah, this boat ran really, really strong last week, and during the preliminary heats, Jeff, you and I were talking back and forth. I mean, we knew all along that Corey Peabody in this boat, he was a player, but they were really a strong player, and we knew they were going to be a factor somewhere before the day was done. I don't know that any of us picked Corey to stand atop the podium with the APBA Gold Cup, but that's where the young man ended up, and he earned it.
Brad, by my eye, unlike Jimmy Shane and Dave Vilwalk keeping the RPMs up in each turn, it appeared that Corey Peabody came off turn number 2 in more of a tight lane sequence, came off in about that 1 1/2 lane sequence, and you can tell visually he is down on power. And we'll get a time for you here on lap number 2, but it might not be too quick because he pulled his foot off the throttle. A mile per hour slower at 149.965 miles per hour. 149.965 for Corey Peabody out of Kent, Washington, driving the Lynx Healthcare. His teammate is J. Michael Kelly in the Miss Tri-Cities. J. Mike and Corey Peabody have been friends since kindergarten.
Yeah, they've known each other for a long time. Corey got his first victory last year at the end of July on the Columbia River at the Hapo Columbia Cup as that beautiful Lynx Healthcare comes back to the dock. Got some associate sponsorship there from Northway Construction that happens to be the company for which Corey Peabody is a construction superintendent. So good to see that boat out on the water and back again. We welcome Lynx Healthcare to the H1 Unlimited family. And we've got the 2 silver boats here, Jeff. And if our fans are worried about how they're going to tell them apart, it's a little bit easier than it was a year ago. Both the 8 and the 9 had the black fairings on the silver boat. Well, when they came to Tri-Cities, they had painted the fairings on the 8 a bright orange. Well, now they've left the fairings silver on the 9. So you got silver fairings on the 9. You've got bright orange, and it's a much brighter orange than it was a year ago. They changed the shade of the color.
And you know, I failed to mention this to you last weekend at Guntersville. Both those boats, how do you like those numbers on the tail end of the cowling, 8 and 9? That's right in my wheelhouse.
That is right in the Jeff Ayler wheelhouse. You know that stuff. Steve Huff, away from the dock, good Pacific Northwest young man, driving the faster than cancer E98. I'm going to step away. I'm going to hand the mic over to Jordan Bear because I'm getting tired of talking.
Thank you, Brad. That's why I brought the chloroseptic throat drops this weekend, because unfortunately people will be hearing me more, but I bring my friend back in from DuPont, Indiana, Jordan Bear. And boy, what about the weather and water conditions? This has been a long time coming for this event. for Mother Nature to turn on Madison Regatta's side. You can't beat this.
You really can't. I mean, it's supposed to be, and today's supposed to be the hottest day, believe it or not. The next 2 days were supposed to be 84, 85. I mean, you cannot ask for better weather than that. My dad, of course, he works at IKE. He actually called me about a little after 5 a.m. this morning and said, hey, here's what the river levels are. And he said, and it looks like it's going to stay that way throughout the entire weekend. Again, we've had so many years. Of course, last year we didn't get any boats on the water on Friday, and we were finally able to get some on Saturday and Sunday. Of course, we got, I think, all of our racing in on Sunday. We only did 3 sets of heats last year, but let me tell you what, last year, Markland Dam and everyone, did such a great job. But this year, Mother Nature has finally said, okay, I understand, you all can get it. And let me tell you what, we can't thank it enough. Beautiful weather outside, a nice little breeze coming off the Ohio River. Boats in the water. Unfortunately, looks like we have one that's gone dead right here in front of the pit area. And
Jordan, that will be a new and that's a tough break. A new driver this weekend for Wheeler Baker in the Bowes back. Dennis Wright out of New Harmony, Indiana, will be in the E54 Bowes back this weekend. Of course, Dennis is well known in 2.5 stock, driving his own S2 Alvey sign. So tough break for Dennis. Let's see if he does not go down river too far and kind of keep him close to the shoreline here, and we'll get a hook. But we will remain green with 3 boats out on the course. And Jordan, this class is so interesting. It's a stock division class in the APBA. It's Pro Light presented by Phenom Digital with additional series sponsorship from RSTZ Transport. Boat length at 20-foot long, 10-foot width. All boats are powered by a stock 350 cubic inch engine, generates up to 400 horsepower. Racing trim with the pilot inside, 1,500 pounds. These boats are capable of doing 130 miles per hour, but Jordan, I think in competition at the end of each shoot, about $115, 120.
Yeah, and I'd say that'd be about right. And, because everything, what they can reach the top, of course, when it's racing and there's other boats out there, obviously the top speed is always very different. But let me tell you what, folks, if you did not watch, and I know I was, Jeff and Brad were both down there last weekend, or if you get a chance tonight, maybe when you're at home and you flip on YouTube, go watch the Pro Light Final from last week down in Guntersville, because let me tell you what, it was as thrilling a race as you will find. These are entertaining boats. We're going to have action all day, and I'm always kind of curious when we see new boats on the water, a new class that I'm not as familiar with, but just watching last week, and really anyone that watched it was entertained by it, and you couldn't ask for anything better. A lot of great racing expect to come this weekend. Again, congratulations to Mr. Rennie last weekend for winning it down in Guntersville. We'll see who will bring home the trophy this week, Jeff. But it looks like now a few of them maybe starting to do some time and laps here as we see them picking up a little speed around the track.
IDEO boats here off turn number 2 and testing. This is the Dominant Orange, Faster Than Cancer Foundation. Steve Huff, owner-driver out of the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. Boat up in turn number 2 right now, down on power. This is your winner last week at Gunter's. No, I'm sorry, that is the Dominant Orange checkered flag effect boat. That little damn bad influence. Derek Smith is the driver out of Oswego, New York. Here's your winner from last week, the E2 Pleasure Seekers, owned by Roger Mahan out of New Jersey. And in the cockpit this weekend, the Turbinator driver, Jimmy King, out of Memphis, Michigan, subbing for Dylan Running, who had a prior commitment this weekend. But, boy, what a Pro Light final last week at Guntersville. I called Running winning it by 10 feet, 5 foot short of a free throw.
Only you could do that, Jeff. And, it really was. It was an amazing final. And, to me, one of the amazing things about it is I think we all know who most of our fans are going to be rooting for this week as far as the Unlimiteds go. But let me tell you what, one thing that I think everyone here loves is they love good hydroplane racing. It doesn't matter, kind of who's in front, because let me tell you what, you cannot be entertained by what we saw last week.
Well, that's a great turn up there by Jimmy King. We can see it on the monitor as well. And Roger Mahan's Pleasure Seekers. Derek Smith out of Oswego, New York, driving for Mike Grindell this weekend. Our pre-race meeting a couple of weekends ago, I said, Jordan, Derek Smith, I wanted to pronounce Oswego, New York. You know all about Oswego.
Indeed, I do. I have a grandmother that used to live up there and family that used to live up there. And unfortunately, she's no longer with us. She's gone home to be with Jesus now. But, I went up there several times as a kid. And I think the last time I was up in Oswego, New York was, Jeff, I'm going to age myself a little bit here. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and now I'm 31. But
heaven forbid.
No, you and Brad are both still bright young men. I think we all agree there. But it's an amazing. The north side of New York is a beautiful, beautiful area. If you ever get a chance to visit up there, got a lot of great tourist attractions up there. I know people think of New York City when they think of New York, but a great place to go visit. And I'm glad to see them down here in Madison to try to bring home a trophy. And we're going to see them in racing action a little later this afternoon.
Jimmy King back to the pit dock, and Roger Mahan's Pleasure Seekers. Slowing down on the course is Derek Smith. Looks like Derek might make one more timing run. And that little damn bad influence. Dam is for the Dam Theater.
In Osgood.
North of here in Osgood, Indiana. Carrie Solly worked up a sponsorship for the Dam family with Mike Grindell. And they even watch it. They've named a damn tree, and that's where they're at.
Awesome to see. And, if you ever get a chance, it is so cool to go by that because that theater is, very, very old. It was built back way, way in the middle of the 20th century. And let me tell you what, Osgood's a very, very historic place. A lot of great things there. Jacksonville High School is the local high school there. I've been there many, many times to officiate, to broadcast, Jeff. But, Kerry Saul, you mentioned him. Of course, I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm sure you are from working at WRX many years ago. We have our pins, our safety pins that we get every year. And Kerry Solly, who's known as the pin guy, he brought us a big bag of them earlier this week. I'll have to maybe have one a little later on. Maybe Timmy T has the bag over to her right there. But let me tell you what, they're awfully impressive.
I got a souvenir for you. We won't identify to our fans what it is, but hold your hand out. And if you want to go home later in DuPont and kind of use it for a little dartboard shoot, that's my gift to you for the regatta this weekend.
Well, thank you, sir.
Happy anniversary, our second regatta together.
Second regatta together. Let me tell you what, Jeff, nothing beats it. I've been excited for this for so long. You and I were talking a couple weeks ago when we met up to discuss this. It's just hard to believe we're already back here. Already a year has passed, and we're already at the regatta. Nothing beats it. I would not rather be any place right now than down here with you, here on the riverfront, calling some exciting racing.
This is only day number 1 of 3 of activity here on the Ohio River. And for the first time in many, many years here at the Madison Regatta, you and I have 4 heats to call this afternoon.
Yes, we do.
GPA Heat 1A will be at 2 o'clock. Then at 2:30 will be Pro Light 1A. Then we'll have H1 Unlimited qualifying at 3. And Jordan will round out the schedule with 2 heats.
Yeah, GPA Heat number 1B will be at 4:15. And then our final action on the river today will be Pro Light Heat 1B. That'll be around 4:45 before the river opens up around 5 p.m. As we get another boat out on the river. It looks like, is it Mr. Lupton that's heading out to the Ohio River this time, Jeff?
Jordan, this is one of our 2 entries from Waverly, New Zealand. Jack Lupton out on the course in GP 33. Lupton Motorsports, this was your winning hull and team at last weekend's Lake Guntersville Hydrofest as the Grand Prix America boats presented by Knighton Industries. Lupton picked up the Summer Nationals Championship. And Brad, these racers from New Zealand, Jack and Ken Lupton, fast lane. They're quick.
Yes, they are. And let me tell you what, these are they are very, very quick. The boat looked great last week as we see one of the last pro lights coming in here, the predominant orange boat that we just saw out on the race course. Let me tell you what, Jack Lupton, that boat looked fantastic last week. The Grand Prix really put on another solid show as always. I believe the chairman is going to be here this week as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The chairman will be on hand. And Jordan, this is the second largest hydroplane class in the world. 24-foot length, 12-foot width. All boats powered by a 468 cubic inch supercharged engine. Pops out 1,400 horse, 2,700 pound of racing vessel. These babies can get up to 170, but I think at the end of each shoot here in Madison, about 150 or 155, but that's still booking it.
That is absolutely booking it, and man, that comes right by here and it rings your ears a little bit, but man, I love that noise. And just, oh man, I've missed it all through this off season, and I'm so glad to see all the Grand Prix back here in Madison. The 4th year, I believe, they've been back here in Madison, and they put on a great show, like I said, every year. And again, if you've never seen them, if you've never been to the regatta before, or maybe the H1 Unlimiteds are the only ones you're used to, you are not going to want to miss this, because these boats are loud, they're exciting. If they can time that start just right, because we see it there, you can get 3 or 4 boats hit that start just perfectly. Let me tell you what, you could be in for one heck of a race here on the Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Racecourse.
Jack Lupton through turn number 2, Lupton Motorsports, and let's see if he'll crank it up.
I've missed that.
Getting adapted to the race course, the 1 1/4 mile version here in Madison. And Jordan, what a great job by our course personnel, and of course to our pit chairman, Harold Snake Perry. Snake, great job, you and your staff. Pit area looks great. It's going to be a good regatta weekend.
It is. I was down here Wednesday for the street dance up on Fireman's Park, and we do that every Wednesday. And I kind of walked down here because I got here about 40 minutes early. I walked down here and just saw everything being set up, and I saw everyone that were still working and, still doing a few things to get the docks ready. Let me tell you what, Snake Perry, and not only him, his entire staff that got this entire thing assembled. Let me tell you what, for the great weather, the great river conditions that we have today, you all deserve these conditions, and thank you all so much for making this possible.
You were the MC of the water ball fight.
Yes, sir.
On Tuesday evening.
Myself and AJ Bramer.
I was speaking with an individual whose name escapes me, but I understand there was a younger firefighting group, and I believe they're from Trimble County. These youngsters were using a new technique, taking out the veterans here in Madison with the volunteer fire department.
So it was the Jefferson County Cadets, actually. There was a group from Bedford that was here, but they had a group, we were actually told right before it started, because we thought we were going to have 6 teams. Well, then we were told we're going to have a 7th team, the Jefferson County Cadets, and they pushed the ones. The ones, of course, this was my 8th year as Lupton comes around to complete another lap here. Looks like he's really booking it there. But we had them take the ones to the limit. Of course, the ones have one of the 8 years that AJ and I have been doing this. They've won it 6 times. They had a 1.5-minute lead on the ones. The ones, of course, a veteran group, really responded and won in the semifinals. Let me tell you what, that water ball fight, if you've never been to it, next year you can't miss it, because it was so awesome to see. Madison Township brought home the gold this year.
Got a good hot lap there you saw online. Jack Lupton. Jordan, this is what it's like in Grand Prix America, presented by Knighton Industries. It's loud, it's quick, it's fast. Both ProLine and GPA will assign lanes, and they will use the clock start format. ProLine, GPA, 4 laps, 5-mile competition heats. And you saw here last year with me, when you get these big GPAs out here, 5-mile competition heat goes by in a flash.
It really does. And let me tell you what, especially when you get them all out there, and you saw really good speed from Lupton there, really took that turn well. Looks like he's trying to figure out maybe which lane would work. Obviously they're assigned, but he's trying to get some practice in there. Let me tell you what, these boats can flat book it, and you read that noise, because like folks, when it comes right here in front of us, I can hardly hear what Jeff says next to me. I can hardly hear what I say. But you'll want to come down, not right on the river. Obviously, we want you to stay away from the water. We want everyone to be safe. But get up and close and get ready, because when these boats, all 3 or 4 of them, or even 5 of them in a heat, it's loud, it's exciting. And like you said, if you blink, you'll miss something, because it's one of the most exciting parts of the weekend.
Jack Lupton back to the pit dock in the Lupton Motorsports. Jordan, I made a mistake. I thought the Lucas Oil 577 was in the water, but it's still on the trailer. For our H1 Unlimited Hydroplane fans along the shoreline and watching on the World Wide Web via H1 Unlimited through YouTube, the U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate is in the water with Jeff Bernard, along with the U11 Unlimited Racing Group and the U8 Miss Tri-Cities. So right now, Jordan, it appears we will go back to H1 Unlimited Hydroplane testing.
Where's Mr. Luce at? He's escaped us. Is he scared of us?
He will reappear.
He will?
He hears the whine, the sound of the Lycoming turbine engine, and it is from the second entry this weekend of Miss Madison Racing, the gold and black U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate. And Jordan, this is the craft that won here in Madison last year during the Gold Cup, but with Jimmy Shane in the cockpit, the boat name was Goodman Real Estate. Presents Miss Home Street. This boat is 15 years of age. Does not run like 15 years of age. It's still a nice one.
It is, and I remember last year, of course, the T7 was reserved just for Tri-Cities in San Diego last year. I remember you see some stuff on social media, people wanted the T7 because they're like, why isn't this coming? I told everyone that would listen, which, I understand that a lot of people don't want to hear me talk anymore, but let me tell you what, this boat can flat go, and Jimmy Shane being the great driver that he is, I told anyone, because that boat has won multiple Gold Cups. In fact, that boat has won, I believe, 3 of them or 4 of the ones that Jimmy's won. And let me tell you what, the boat can go, and if Bernard can get a good lane, because again, in H1, in the Unlimiteds, they fight for their lane with the exception of the shootout tomorrow. I can tell you what, they will.
We will have 2 boats out right now, Jordan, as J. Michael Kelly leaves the pit dock in the U8 Miss Tri-Cities. We see Jeff Bernard down the front straightaway in U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate. Good boat ride as Jeff approaches the start-finish line buoy. Jordan, you'll rejoin me when the pro lights and GPAs
I'm gonna
take back to the track. Hand it back over to Brad Luce. Penalty,
there you go, Mr.
penalty.
Luce. Jump the gun, Brad.
Was I tardy?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Well, Jordan fills in admirably here. And you know these things as well as anybody. Got a couple of them out on the water. I was listening to you, Jordan. Wax poetic about that 91. I do like that haul. 4 Gold Cups, 8 National High Points Championships. 3rd winningest haul all time.
Brad, I know the fans in Madison want to know more about the second entry, but let's talk about the U8 Miss Tri-Cities. It's been a tough start to the season for J. Michael Kelly and Daryl and Vanessa Strong's boat. And boy, that turbine engine, the grenade activity that took them out of the Gold Cup final, it's been a tough start to the season for the 8 camp.
Yeah, they were really excited to go down to Guntersville. They had such great luck there a year ago when they came away standing on the top of the podium at the Southern Cup in 2021. They knew their boat liked that race course. They went down there with very, very high hopes that perhaps they could do it again and maybe even give a Gold Cup trophy to owner Daryl Strong. Turns out they did, just did it with the other boat. But this one, the 8, the Miss Tri-Cities, they did have a difficult time down there. They couldn't seem to get the boat ride to match with the speed. And they could get the boat running better, and it seemed like it had a lot of power, but then the boat ride wasn't there. Then when they could get the boat ride, they just didn't seem to have the speed. It was a tough weekend, but it's a good run so far. Just watching with the naked eye, J. Michael Kelly will get a speed on this lap. It's going to be his first hot one. If our fans want to look right at the front tip of the right sponson on that boat, the U8, it's all silver up there, but if it looks like there's a little imperfection there, there is. They got it reglassed. I believe they're up at Clifty Engineering, you said. So it doesn't look real pretty, but as Scott Rainey likes to say, it's pretty functional, so it'll work just fine. 144.193 for JMK, and for Jeff Bernard, he's got his first lap at 140.232.
So, Brad, the first time this weekend, we've seen 2 massive H1 unlimited hydroplane boats out on the Ohio River at the same time. Second test lap speed for Jeff Bernard and U91 Goodman Real Estate, 145.172 miles per hour, 145.172. And Jeff got a good, that is J. Michael Kelly right now by the start-finish line buoy in the U8 Miss Tri-Cities. J. Mike had that unfortunate incident here last year in turn number 1 during the Gold Cup, and unfortunately, a gray-haired guy up here in the stand kind of got his fingers crossed and lost track of the laps. But boy, it was an exciting heat. We had actually 3 different lap leaders after 3 laps, and that heat was won by Andrew Tate, who we miss here this weekend, and also miss Rob Graham and the Graham Trucking.
Yeah, we sure do. That team decided seemingly at the last minute not to come down to Guntersville. We're sorry they did not come down there. Anytime you have a boat race and you put the name Andrew Tate in the middle of it, he's going to be right in the middle of it because that's just the way he drives. Next lap for Jeff Bernard, 144.990, 144.990. So his quickest so far, the 145.172. J. Mike brings the U8 back, and now you get a good look at that right tip of the sponson there. You can see it's just not quite as shiny as the rest of the boat, but it'll run just fine.
J. Michael. Oh, I'm sorry, Brad. J. Michael Kelly, a two-time winner at Madison, 2014, 2015, both driving the U5 Graham Trucking. Goodman Real Estate back into the pit area, and Brad, we see the city seal of Madison, Indiana on the verticals this weekend at the hometown race. And Brad, you paint it perfectly. Those colors, gold and black. Jimmy Labrie done a wonderful job painting this one. Of course, Jimmy from Brewster, Washington, just outside Pateras, and he nailed this one perfectly with the spray and the clear coat. It rocks.
Hearing you talk about Brewster, Washington, just up the creek from Pateras, that's pretty good, Jeff. And he is dead on.
I learned that area one year when I had the sub for a PA announcer at the Terry Troxel Memorial Race.
Come on, you stole my gig, you know you did. Anyway, Pateras, Washington, right where the Methow River dumps into the Columbia in north central Washington, 8 miles up the creek to Brewster. And that's where Jimmy Labrie hangs. But if you do, the point being, if you do get close to the U91, the Goodman Real Estate, check out the paint job, because one of the most difficult colors any painter will tell you to apply is that gold. And if you think the Goodman Real Estate is pretty, I got news for you. You've got to see the paint job on that Maverick. The gold, red, and white on the Maverick, it just pops. It is beautiful. On the water right now, we got the U11 Unlimited Racing Group. Jamie Nielsen behind the wheel of that one, ran down at Guntersville, ended up on the podium after starting in a trailer position.
Finished third place. And Brad, a great way to start our Madison Regatta weekend, the 2022 edition. 6 H1 Unlimited hydroplanes in the pit area. This is the 6th one to take to water and testing. That's a good sign. It appears these boats come out of Guntersville in good shape, and we're looking for a wonderful Madison Regatta this weekend. We got the new showdown format tomorrow. I've been waiting for the showdown format now for a number of weeks since they announced it, but we'll go back to the traditional racing card on Sunday for the Indiana Governor's Cup with 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, and that winner-take-all final, and the cup will be handed over to the winning driver by Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb.
Yeah, and now that you bring up the shootout again, and we're going to talk about this a lot, you and Jordan and I are going to kick this one around, but this is being done for one reason. It's being done for the fans. It is being done to put more action on the water for the fans. And as you and I saw in Detroit one year, you'll remember the year 18, whatever it was, when we had 2 events there. And in talking with the event director, Mark Weber, he said, we've got so many fans that can only come down here for one day. And they leave and they don't get to see anybody get a big trophy. If you've got fans that can only come down here on the Ohio River to the Madison Regatta for Saturday, they're going to see us pull out a big trophy and crown a champion, and I think it's terrific.
Oh, I absolutely echo that, Brad. I like the idea of this, and I said earlier today, Madison, Indiana is the place to try this. With the long chutes, tight turns, we're going to have 3 two-boat showdown heats, and the winners of those will go to a final. Then the 3 losers will go into a last chance heat, and the winner of that will transfer to a 4-boat final tomorrow afternoon. I like the idea. I'm anxious to see it happen, and it will be scored in national points.
And there's the key right there. It's not like we're going to have this other event on Saturday, so a team might put their second-rate stuff in the boat. They may run a different boat. They may do some stuff they wouldn't normally. No, to your point, there's national high points laying on it here, so they've made it hopefully a good show for the fans, but they've made it where the teams have got to go out there and run hard for it. And with the competitive nature of the 6 boats we've got, when we call this a second chance or a last chance heat, I know what gets conjured up in the minds of like the three of us here. You think, okay, these are the guys that didn't make the. You're going to have some awfully good hydroplanes running in that second or last chance heat. This is going to be good.
I like it. Jamie Nielsen by the start-finish line buoy in the U11 Unlimited Racing Group. Brad will need to check the boat name this weekend. Ran as Miss Colleen last weekend at the APBA Gold Cup. Jamie went around the first time at 131.534 miles per hour. We'll get the second lap speed, and it's better. 140.576 miles per hour. 140.576. And Brad, the bright orange and black is back in the water. Dave Vilwalk will return to the Ohio River here in a matter of moments. And Beacon Plumbing, stop freaking, call Beacon.
Bill Cahill's had that slogan floating around the Pacific Northwest for a long time, and it stuck. You know, they say if you're going to have a slogan, make sure it's something that people can remember. Everybody knows. Stop freaking, call Beacon.
And the perfect logo, that's what you want, the tornado activity.
Absolutely. So it's really good to have Bill Cahill back in the sport. We got some new sponsors this year. We got Goodman Real Estate going a whole circuit. Good stuff happening within H1 Unlimited.
That was a nice boat ride by the 11 by the start-finish line buoy. Jamie Nielsen, the one-time Major League Baseball draftee by the Kansas City Royals, airing out the U11 by the start-finish line buoy. Tana Morissette, our on-site engineer, waiting for a time, and it's quicker. And that's a nice lap for the 11, 144.446 miles per hour, 144.446. And Brad Luce, in 2022, you've been busy. You've seen every boat in H1 Unlimited go to the water. They were at the Vancouver test. They left Vancouver. They were happy.
They were happy, and people would look at the speeds that the boat posted in Vancouver, and they would think, wow, they were really slower than everybody else. Scott Rainey, boat owner down to our left, he came over to me just after their runs and said, this is a 2-mile track out here, and they've got a gearbox package set up in the boat for 2.5 miles. That's why Jamie was running such a big course in Vancouver. Obviously, that drops down the speeds, but they were very, very happy.
Timing run for Jamie Nielsen off turn number 2, the start-finish line. Brad Luce, it never changes. 17 seconds.
Jordan, you worked with this guy last year. I know you know all about that kind of stuff coming from Mr. Ayler.
I absolutely do, Brad. And, to me, he's got it down to a science. He starts talking about some of these engines and stuff like that. And I just kind of nod my head at times because I'm almost in amazement. I'm like, why do you know this much about the engines? But let me tell you what, this guy he loves the sport of hydroplane racing, and he's one of the best to do it. You as well, Brad. And honestly, I'm so happy to be down here just to learn, because every time I'm with him, I learn something more about hydroplane racing. And you know what? As a person who just turned 31, the more I learn, the better.
31?
Yes.
Are you able to drive? Can you drive by yourself?
For a few, I have been for about 6 months now, Brad, I guess.
Brad, just a quick refresher with the Aylers and the Bears. Jordan's father, Tom Bear, back in the day when I was a lot younger and the hair was longer and it was a different color, I was the pitcher in slow pitch softball for the DuPont Merchants. And
Wow.
Jordan's father, Tom Bear, was a eat-em-up second baseman. He was like glue.
Wow. Could you go on just 3 days rest throwing that slow pitch stuff, or did you need a full?
And then I come out of retirement in the fall league in like 1997, and the old legs was weak and wobbly, Brad Luce, and I fell backwards, caught myself with the pitching hand, and the old scaphoid bone went bad on me. Had to cast up for 6 weeks.
Wow. Only you, Jeff, and slow pitch softball. Anyway. Back to the dock, Jamie Nielsen. I think they've got to be pretty happy with that run. Where is Scott? He's still down there. He'll make sure his driver cuts it off, and then he'll take off and go down there.
Brad, you see on our H1 monitor, I like the speeds, but I think our three that are a little right now slower in that 140 bracket, I still see a lot of improvement coming up later, because I think Bernard at 145, Kelly at 144, but Nielsen at 144, they have got a lot to work on this. They'll check the data, and no doubt this former T4 Budweiser hull has a lot left in it. I know they're happy, and they keep progressing with this boat, baby steps, and they want to get up there where they can get to a point of winning races, but right now it's still a learning curve for the 11 in this hull.
Yeah, and you mentioned winning races. One of these days, these guys are going to, in fact, we're talking about the boat and the improvement. Got boat owner Scott Rainey right here. Scott, Jeff and I thought that looked awfully good.
Well, for a starting point, I guess it's okay. We got to get faster. There's some boats here that are, pretty fast. So we worked really hard this week, made a bunch of changes, and that's the first initial, let's see, did they work? And we're going to go look at the computer data and get some more input from Jamie and evaluate. But I think we're going in the right direction.
Sounds good to us. Go back there and get some work done. Thanks for stopping by, Scott. Well, quick question from Jeff.
I'm sorry, Brad. Scott, welcome back to Madison. The boat name was Miss Colleen last week in Guntersville. You have a new name this weekend, or still Miss Colleen?
We'll continue to honor Colleen and the great things she did for our sport this weekend. We really love her and we miss her. So it's still Miss Colleen.
Thank you, Scott. Boat looking good, and Brad, they've got a lot to build on, and you can't count this team out because Jamie Nielsen is a strategist. Being that in hydroplane racing, shortest way around lane one, he has a knack of getting on that buoy row in the fight for lanes.
I'm going to hand the microphone back to Jordan Bear, but before I do, Scott Rainey and at U11 camp, they've got a secret weapon down there this weekend too. Jean Thierret is here this weekend. I've already been down there talking with him, so just put that one in the back of your hat. Mr. Thierret, the French-Canadian, is here with his wife. Jordan, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Brad Luce.
We welcome Jean Thierret back to Madison, the 2006 APBA Gold Cup champion and the Miss Beacon Plumbing. And Jordan Bear, when you talk about the name Jean Thierret or Jean Thierret,
my goodness, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Name I haven't heard in a while, of course. The 2000s, as you said, back in Beacon Plumbing in 2006, they won the Gold Cup up in Detroit. Also, back in 2015, they had the Gold Cup won before a DMZ violation took them out. That was, I believe, out in Tri-Cities back in 2015. Of course, that was Jimmy Shane's second Gold Cup that he won. But glad to see him back in Madison. Well, obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But Jeff, looks like we got a couple of boats in, as again, we are continuously right now seeing action on the Ohio River.
Back in testing, now it's the Pro Light Hydroplane Tour presented by Phenom Digital, along with RSTZ Transport on the water out of Marine City, Michigan. The dominant black boat with red trim, that is Jeff Sankir out of Marine City, Michigan, driving the Modern Drummer. First season for Jeff with the 350 underneath the engine cowling. Here's a veteran pilot out of Jackson, Michigan, Gary Shalvin, driving the E5 Flyboy. And Jordan, the name Flyboy, Gary Shalvin is a retired American Airlines pilot.
And that's something really weird to think about, and I think that just fits it so perfectly, because in a way he becomes a pilot just on the water. And to me, to go from the skies to the water, I tell you what, polar opposites. But I love, first of all, I just want to talk about the color. I love the color of that boat, of the Flyboy. And obviously we got coming up here, Mr. Sankir coming around in the Modern Drummer. Boat looks like it has great speed and really trying to time out those lanes that it'll have to run later on today.
And Jeff Sankir, the name Modern Drummer, yes. A very good drummer in bands over his career on the side, a musical expert, and good shoe on the water as well. Good to see Jeff here this weekend and his family and team. They failed to make Guntersville, but he told me before Guntersville he couldn't make Alabama, but was really looking forward to running here in Madison. And one of the good guys of the sport right there, and Jeff Sankir, the brother of Patrick Sankir, of course, Dynamite GNH pilot, had a one-time stint in the Unlimiteds, might return someday when he drove the U12, Mr. Julio.
Mr. Julio, my goodness, what a name to throw back there. And of course, you never know who could come out. I mean, we never thought we'd see Dave Vilwalk again until he came back in the Beacon Plumbing back last year. Of course, the winningest driver of all time. Right now, we're seeing Sankir come around here, trying to see if he's maybe going to speed it up a little bit, maybe try to time the start a little bit, or if he's going to come back into the pit area. Then, of course, we have Flyboy Gary Shelfant. It looks like Sankir might be coming back into the boat area, but it looks like the Flyboy, he's still got good speed going into turn number 2. Again, we have 4 heats later to come today. A set of Grand Prix heats and also a set of Pro Light heats as well. And it looks like here, yep, Shelfant's going to keep going. It looks like he's trying to do a timing run here as over Mr. Sankir in the Modern Drummer, the E17. He's coming back to the pit area, getting awfully close to that kind of extended pit out there where some of the emergency boats are. But again, Shelfant going around for turn number 1, still trying to time it. Again, your lanes are assigned in that, but there is a clock start. So they're trying to figure out this whole thing. Again, we'll have heats 1A for the Grand Prix at 2 o'clock. The Pro Light Heat 1A will be at 2:30. GPA Heat 1B will be at 4:15. Then we'll round out the day at 4:45 with Pro Light Heat 1B. And between the 2 sets of heats, of course, Brad and Jeff will be back on the microphone for H1 Unlimited qualifying at 3 p.m. I'll be down in the docks trying to gather up some of the drivers as I'm sure they're getting ready. I see Mr. Jeff Bernard walking there. Of course, he just got off the Ohio River a minute ago. But it looks like the Flyboy, Gary Shelfant's going to come around here. Again, he had a timing run a minute ago, trying to time maybe that start a little bit. But he's bringing some good speed here across the start-finish line, Jeff. Boat looks smooth. Again, the water's great. Of course, the Ohio River at times can be very, very unfriendly. But let me tell you what, the boat I've seen there looks awfully smooth.
Gary Shelfant keeps improving in the sport of pro light racing. Relatively new to hydroplane racing, but he's enjoying it and continues to learn and learn. And Gary, no doubt, has a boat that can compete up in the front. It's just a matter of getting a little bit of those sea legs intact to run up in the front. But no doubt a guy that loves the sport and continues to improve as a pilot, and he's a welcome addition to the Pro Light Phenom Digital Series.
Well, and to me, Jeff, I think one of the things we always have to emphasize is not only in the Pro Light class, but in the Grand Prix class and also the Unlimiteds, the H1, most of these guys have full-time jobs. They do this on the side because they simply love the sport of hydroplane racing. They just love being out here. They love the racing aspect. You have guys like Jimmy Shane, who of course works for Blue Origin. He has been out in Washington for several years, just moved to San Antonio, Texas. But a guy who always wants to make time to make sure he puts on a show, not only for the hometown fans here, but just all across the country on the H1 circuit. And that's one thing I think we need to really be grateful for is a lot of these guys, they're doing this for the pure love of the sport, and I'm so happy to see him back.
So Gary Shelfant returning to the pit dock in the E5 Flyboy. You see on our screen through the World Wide Web at H1 Unlimited via YouTube, the enclosed capsule has been shut on the U40. Miss Beacon Plumbing, Dave Vilwalk will take to the Ohio River for the second time in this testing session, which will last up until 1 o'clock. And Jordan, by my watch, things are moving along quickly, coming up on the 12:04 mark, so we're down to 56 minutes left in this testing session, and things are moving along rapidly. All 3 series working well with each other at the dock, and we're all here for the same reason, to race.
Absolutely, the pure love of hydroplane racing, and Dave Vilwalk back out on the water. Hopefully I think all the fans this week, I was listening to Tim and Carrington a little bit ago when they were on the air and they first went on, and Vilwalk went out there for his first race. I think we all really want to see that matchup between him and Jimmy Shane this week. And of course, we really were unable to see it in the final last week because that was the only race they were in. So it looks like, if everything goes according to plan, and maybe Brad can answer it better because I'm going to hand the microphone back to him, looks like we'll see Vilwalk and Shane finally square off tomorrow. And yes, I agree. And Brad's giving me the thumbs up, and I'm going to hand the microphone back to him, and him and Jeff can always do their thing.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Don't go very far. Don't go far. Apparently, I went too far. I wasn't as late this time.
No penalty.
No penalties.
Back out on the water, Brad, I mentioned earlier, the second time in testing. Things are moving along rapidly here in fine fashion. Dave Vilwalk back out on the Wild Bill Cantrell Memorial Racecourse in the U40 Miss Beacon Plumbing. As you referred to him as Super Dave, and no doubt the right adjective when you describe Dave Vilwalk. Tremendous driver, tactician, he's flying. The U40 Beacon Plumbing, and Brad, you kind of kicked back watching the monitor. I saw it live by my angle. Let's see if we can get up to the 160 barrier here in testing.
Our fans watching on the shoreline, when he comes down the front straightaway, we all know enough about the aerodynamics of an unlimited hydroplane or a hydroplane. The idea is to get the boat up out of the water and run it on a tunnel of air, because the more you touch the water, that's drag, it slows you down. Watch Dave when he comes down the front straightaway. If he's got his foot in it again, he's picking up that right sponson and he's just hanging it off the water. Of course, when he can do that, that's when he can reach a real high speed, and that's when you know he's really flying. But he's also right on the ragged edge. You take it another inch higher and all kinds of things can happen. Really solid boat ride for Dave Vilwalk, U40 Beacon Plumbing.
Waiting for a lap time here in testing, and as he flies back into turn number 1, hangs it left. You see that yellow buoy? Yes, that is the entrance pin. Second yellow buoy. There is the exit pin of turn number 1. The west turn here on the Ohio River Racecourse. Vilwalk accelerates up the back chute in front of our fans in Trimble County, Kentucky. That lap speed, 153.722 miles per hour. 153.722. Brad, we saw him get to 156 earlier. Could this one be quicker, or are they mainly working on a race setup here?
Well, that's what you never know. He's going way wide. Whoa, and he is, I believe, outside the outside course marker.
Boy, Brad, I hate to see that. Generally, that skid fin sometimes could cause a problem with that boat right there, but we're just speculating. Now you see Vilwalk on camera, and of course here visually along the shoreline. The Miss Beacon Plumbing has went dead in the water. But Brad, it looked like that skid fin water was continuing on even at a slower pace before we shut it down. But and now the capsule lid is coming up. So obviously a problem with the U40 Miss Beacon Plumbing, and we hate to see that for the 40 camp, because coming up at 3 o'clock will be qualifying, but right now it looks like they'll be unable to get back on the water in this testing session that will last until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in Madison.
Yeah, so a tough break there for Dave Vilwalk. Now, I'm the eternal optimist, okay? The eternal optimist. Is it possible that Dave had a problem up there at the top end of the race course, knew he had other boats in the water ready to go, and made sure he got himself far enough off the course such that Jimmy Shane could come out in the U1 to Miss Home Street, and he is already away from the dock?
Well, if that is, Brad, that was a nice gesture to keep this testing activity going, because there is a certain amount of time the H1 Unlimiteds need to test before they go to the qualifying session.
Well, it's just a thought, and like I said, I'm the eternal optimist. Maybe that's what Dave was doing. We will find out when he gets back, but he's a long way up the creek right now, so it's gonna be a little bit. Meanwhile, I think the fans know something about this hydroplane.
One of your local favorites here this weekend, the first of 2 entries from Miss Madison Racing, the Home Street Blue and White. Miss Home Street, Jimmy Shane in the cockpit. We saw Jimmy out here earlier today, had a test lap of 156.304 miles per hour. Shane working through turn number 2. Brad, Jimmy's full-time position is with Blue Origin. Jimmy has 2 sons, and Colton and Hudson, and they continue to get taller and taller, and hopefully someday we'll see Colton and Hudson in the J Hydros and maybe waking their way up to the 1.5 stock, because someday, somehow, I got to get to Pacific Northwest with you to call one of those 1.5 stock races. We got some tremendous talent coming up in 1.5 stock.
There's a lot of talent coming up, and the future looks really bright and really strong about 20 years from now, and I just hope I'm around still to see it, because lots of good drivers coming up. A couple of them with the last name Kelly.
And Brown.
And Brown.
As in Katie Brown.
And it just keeps going on and on. The beat goes on. Top end of the race course. U1, Jimmy Shane. The boat is U1 because they claimed the National High Points Team Championship. Claimed it down, or polished it off, if you will, in San Diego last September. The Driver National Championship went to J. Michael Kelly. Jimmy putting some air underneath the U1 as he comes across start-finish. As we talked the last time it was out, Jeff, this thing was a rocket. First day they put it in the water.
Working into turn number 1, beautiful shot from our camera crew with H1 Unlimited through YouTube. We'll get a time here for you. Jimmy Shane, U1 Miss Home Street, 153.395 miles per hour, 153.395 for Jimmy Shane underneath the Milton Madison Bridge, just in front of the Milton, Kentucky boat ramp. Swings into turn number 2, the bridge turn, the east turn here on the Ohio River. Works through there nicely, and Brad once again underneath the Milton Madison Bridge on the Indiana shoreline in front of the new Fairfield Inn. Beautiful hotel here in Madison. Coming to the start-finish line buoy, looks good. Could it be quicker?
Don't know if it's quicker. If I had to bet, I would think it was. And by the way, I made a wrong turn and saw that new hotel here a couple of nights ago. What a beautiful place that is. And we immediately were looking at hotel rates, and who knows, next year we may be there. That was a good looking spot. Jimmy still hard off the lower corner. Turned that one, Jeff, at a little bit slower, 152.827, 152 on that one. I love the shadow of the bridge when the boats go underneath it and you see it come across the rooster tail.
And Brad, that is the second version of the Milton Madison Bridge. The last time you appeared in Madison was 2012. That was the original version. This one's our brand new puppy that crosses the Ohio River. Shane by for another test lap on the clock. U1 Miss Home Street. Home Street Bank, of course, headquartered in Seattle, Washington, led by CEO Mark Mason. Now Shane, you see, visually slowing in turn number 1, but we'll get that lap time. Once Tana gets that recorded, we'll deliver it to you along the shoreline and online, and it's coming up in a jiff. And how about 155.502 miles per hour, 155.502 for Jimmy Shane in Miss Home Street.
He's going to cut the course, Jeff, and I think he'll bring it back to the pit area. I don't believe we have another of our H1 Unlimiteds in the water. Our view is a little bit obscured here by some of the trucks and cranes. When I left here yesterday about 4 o'clock, there was nothing in this pit area. It was empty, and then showed up this morning about 6:45, and voila, all of this stuff was here. They just started to place boats when we headed back up to the hotel last night, and it was an empty place, but now all of a sudden it's full like it should be on race weekend.
Brad, what a great way to start our weekend here in Madison, the 2022 Madison Regatta. And the regatta with Mother Nature, the cooperation the past number of years has been suspect, but Mother Nature, thank you. So far on this Friday, things are off and rolling in fine fashion. And Brad, we have the water up until 1 o'clock. We'll take a 1-hour break to give our safety and rescue personnel a chance to come in, stretch their legs, get some refreshment. We've got heat action this afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to go racing, so fans, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. It's not just all testing and qualifying here in day one. Regatta committee's done a really good job of scheduling out the weekend. We've got racing all weekend long. It's a big card. We saw it last week. My goodness, what did we have? I forget the number of heats, but we had 14 on one day, I know.
Last Saturday in Guntersville, we had 11 heats with the 3 classes that are here this weekend. Those 3 were in Guntersville last week. And then we had 14 heats on Sunday, which, of course, concluded with the oldest active motorsports trophy in the world, the APBA Gold Cup.
It certainly did, and I can make an argument with you that they had more heat races down there in Guntersville because it was the APBA Gold Cup. However, with the shootout format, we're going to have more racing here from a heat perspective than we did down there. So fans, this is going to be fun. There's going to be lots and lots of activity. It was wall to wall. Jordan, you weren't down there, but let me tell you something. We could have used you down there. Old Jeffy and I were getting a little tired.
Well, you know, Brad, I appreciate you saying that. I was busy myself up at the station keeping us on the air last week. Tim and Travis were down there last weekend. We, of course, Brad, if you ever get a chance, I know obviously with Guntersville makes it hard, but out at Kruger Lake you had mini hydros, RC hydros out at Kruger Lake last weekend where you had remote control designs. You had the old Myth Budweiser boat, including the boat, the T4, which raced here in 1995 with Mark Evans, racing here in 1995. Smokin' Joe's, of course, won that year, but you saw that old style. You saw the old Winston Eagle boat, the old Boy Oberto boat. You saw the old Close Call boat, a boat I never thought I'd ever see again.
Now, wait a minute. We're going to get into this age thing again. He's talking about these old boats. They all had turbine power back in the day. I mean, did you have the Shanty 1? Did you have the Maverick? Do you have any piston-powered Bardolls? How about the Slow-Mo 4, the Gale 5?
No, unfortunately, I didn't see any of those, Brad, but, you know, I can only go back so far, Brad. I apologize for that. But, hey, you know what? I'd love to. I try to go back, of course, last year, actually, 50 years to the date, Miss Madison winning the Gold Cup. Of course, Jim McCormick, legendary that. Went home that night. It's on YouTube. Went back and watched that broadcast. Keith Jackson and Bill Muncie on that final call. 1971, Jim McCormick winning it here. You get a chance to watch it. That's classic racing right there.
Yeah, that's the stuff you put in the time capsule, and obviously one thing led to another. It became a movie, and I still get a little bit of a chill driving down Main Street, Madison. It's just really something special.
It really is, Brad, and you know, this is such a special, you know, weekend. It's such an amazing weekend, and I just really am blessed to be here every year. You know, Brad, I'm not to age again, I'm sorry. I'm 31, and I was born June 20th, 1991. I was here when I was 2 weeks old. I've never missed the Madison Regatta, don't ever intend to.
Good for you. And just to get he's kind enough to say what his age is. Of course, it's a very small number. Let me give you a clue here. You could take that number of your age, take it times 2, and you still have a ways to go. And I'm adding one on Sunday. So, yeah, this is a big weekend here for Mr. Luce.
There is no better birthday present to me, Brad, than being able to call H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Racing. There is nothing like it. You know, I have friends from college who would come down for this, and they're amazed by it. And to me, if you've never watched H1 racing before, any kind of hydroplane racing, you're in for a treat this weekend, because it's something, once you watch it once, you are hooked.
Kid, you got a future in this here sport. We're going to step away from the microphone and take a little break here. It is the 2022 Indiana Governor's Cup. It's Jordan Bear, it's Jeff Ayler, and yours truly, Brad Luce. We'll be back as soon as there's more activity on the water.
Jeff Ayler with Jordan Bear with you back here at the judges stand at the 2022 Madison Regatta. Day number 1 of 3 of activity on the Ohio River for the H1 Unlimited Hydroplanes. The Grand Prix America Hydroplane Series presented by Knighton Industries, and the Pro Light Hydroplane Tour presented by Phenom Digital, along with RSTZ Transport. Public address system is also too being heard via the World Wide Web at H1 Unlimited through YouTube. Jordan Bear, we saw Dave Vilwalk go dead in the water in testing the U40 Miss Beacon Plumbing, and our camera crew with H1 Unlimited. When this boat is being lifted up out of the water, we're hearing the possibility of a missing propeller on the transom of this boat, but right now it's setting in the water nicely, or it was before, of course, they put it on the crane sling. See one of the crew members there undoing the deck hatch at the back of the boat, wanting to check to see if there was any damage occurred. But right now, very interesting moment coming up here to see if that propeller is missing underneath the craft of the U40 Beacon Plumbing. Until that, though, Jordan, we had lunch delivered.
Yes, we did.
Joe Breek from Rivertown Pizza. He is our sponsor later today. Pro Light 1A brought to you by Rivertown Pizza. Pro Light 1B, Rivertown Pizza. That's the new location up on Madison's Hilltop, but the main hub, Rivertown Bar and Grill, 321 Jefferson Street here in Madison. Joe Breek loves hydroplane racing. Joe, thank you for the lunch and pizza. Splendid.
Oh my gosh, we really can't thank them enough, and for them to do that for you, myself, and Brad, of course, and for them to deliver pizza for us, let me tell you what, we can't ask for anything better than that. We are very, very grateful for Joel for that, and they're going to be taking care of us today, and we're going to have other people taking care of us throughout the weekend, but we really appreciate him and also sponsoring the 2 Pro Light boats today for Rivertown Pizza. Of course, Rivertown Bar and Grill going to be sponsoring Grand Prix Heat 1A, and I'm going to hand the and it looks like, folks, we're still waiting to see the Beacon Plumbing lifted out again. We were told that they potentially lost a propeller, and Jeff and I are looking here. Let's see. Still nothing there. They got the crew members working on. But again, the propeller apparently, we were told, gone, and that boat was flying on that, but then we suddenly saw it go off of the race course toward the shoreline. And Jeff, obviously, we hope that is something that they can hopefully take care of.
Well, for our fans along the shoreline, you can see probably watching online, we're going into a little bit of an earlier break. So we're checking with the officials, and when we get word on going back, and I think we will conclude testing. We should have about 40 to 45 minutes left, and then we'll go into our racing card for the inboards. And also, too, Jordan, at 3 o'clock scheduled is H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Qualifying. Very important session, because not only do you want to put a top speed down, but those are scored in the national high point standing.
They are, and you have to make sure you qualify for racing this weekend, especially because how the qualifying speeds are done is how the match racing will be signed tomorrow. And Jeff, looks like you got something.
Not to interrupt you, Jordan, but you can see right now in our H1 cameras, there's some damage. And boy, that is so unfortunate. You can see some damage right there on the transom of the U40 Beacon Plumbing, and that is so unfortunate. You can see with that open deck hatch to the back, there is quite a bit of water in the hull of the U40. So the first development of Madison Regatta 2022 in testing goes to the U40 Beacon Plumbing. They have some of the best in the business down there, Jordan, and Taylor Evans, Danny Walters, of course, Dave Vilwalk, Kelly Stockland. They'll assess the damage, and anyone or any team that can fix this is the 40 camp. Trust me, it will be an effort. They will put it 110%. I got a good feeling this boat will be back on the water more likely tomorrow than today. I
agree, and Dave Vilwalk is such a genius in the sport of hydroplane racing, and here's not only that, I mean, folks, if they have to stay up until 4 a.m. fixing this, they will. They really don't mind it at all. That's how much they want to be out here and win. Of course, Dave Vilwalk, his boat looked so good last week, had the tough penalty in one of the early preliminary races in veering in and causing J. Michael Kelly to kind of cut into the race course a little bit. Then, of course, during the mulling period of the Gold Cup final, went outside the race course and got an EQ. Let me tell you what, we really hope Dave and the entire crew can get that done. Again, as Jeff said, Dave Vilwalk, not only a great driver, but he is a genius when it comes to hydroplane racing. And obviously, we certainly hope they can get that fixed and ready to go for racing tomorrow.
So, Jordan, with that, for Jordan Bear, Brad Luce, I'm Jeff Ayler. We'll take a break here on the public address system and also to online at H1 Unlimited through YouTube. Testing has concluded, but stay with us periodically. We'll come on with you to give an idea when the course will reopen back up, see if we can conclude this testing session. And also, too, we've got 4 heats this afternoon, 2 GPA heats, 2 Pro Light heats, and H1 Unlimited qualifying. Joe Breek from Rivertown Pizza, thank you for lunch. We're about to enjoy. Stand by.